And we will proceed as if we were live. So we're just going to go through speaker view. Hi, everyone. Give me 1 second here. I'm just pulling up a couple notes. Hi, everyone. So welcome. Thank you all so much for your patience as it took me a couple of minutes to flounder through the technology aspect, but everyone's here now. Thank you all so much for your patience. I'm Ricardo Hernandez. I'm the Readings and Workshops Program Coordinator at Poets and Writers. I'm joined today by Lupe Mendez, the Literary Outreach Coordinator in Houston. Before we start and I hand things off to Lupe for the rest of this evening's event, I'd just like to thank all of you for joining us on Zoom. I would also usually thank our Facebook Live audience, but it's not happening today, so I'll thank you in prosperity. I'd also like to thank the Hearst Foundations for their support of tonight's event, Hope Not Fear, a virtual reading. So as some or perhaps most of you may know, Poets and Writers is the nation's largest nonprofit serving creative writers, founded in 1970. That would make this year our 50th anniversary. Our mission is to foster the professional development of writers and poets, to promote communication throughout the literary community, and to help make literature available to the widest possible public. Thousands of poets, fiction writers, and creative nonfiction writers benefit from P&W's programs, including our magazine, our website, pw.org, our financial support of readings and other literary events, and our sponsorship of several notable writing prizes and awards. So early last year, we launched the United States of Writing, which was an initiative, an expansion of the core program, so the stuff that I listed a little while ago, to better serve writers coast to coast. So the goal was literally to have the program cover from New York to California, and Alaska, and Hawaii. We began by focusing on Houston, New Orleans, and Detroit, and hiring a literary outreach coordinator in each city. Equal parts community organizer and local correspondents. Literary outreach coordinators have helped raise awareness of the resources for writers that we have to offer by various means, including hosting virtual events. So tonight's event is part of that initiative. And I also just want to take a quick second to thank Lupe and his fellow outreach coordinators, Kelly Harris in New Orleans and Justin Rogers in Detroit, for their continued efforts and dedication, really, in supporting and promoting their city's literary communities. You know, it happens through events like this, through their blog, which you can read at pw.org. Lupe in particular has maintained a series of interviews during COVID that's, you know, really checked in with writers in the community, and through their Twitter feeds. So yeah, so that's it for me right now. I'm gonna hand things off to Lupe, who will speak more about this evening's reading and kick us off. So Lupe?
Buenas tardes, buenas noches, good evening. How is everybody doing? My name is Lupe Mendez. For the community, the regular, everyday Poets and Writer going community, bienvenidos. Thank you for having us. It is a joy and a privilege to be able to work with the community, the larger community, the broader U.S. community for Poets and Writers. A major shout out to my partners in crime, my compadres Kelly and Justin, who, as we continue on with the work, especially during a pandemic, it's been rough out in them streets, but so far we've done a really great job. I pat myself on the back, whatever. Shout out to Kelly, because we have continuously had to deal with the fear of a hurricane up until just now, so we kind of get a break. Kelly out in New Orleans doing the work. They just finished the Writers in Music Festival there in New Orleans. And then also shout out to Justin out in Detroit, with all the tenseness of both an election and then the beautiful news that Justin has now a new baby at home. Tons of blessings to both of them. And then we continue with the evening. So those of you that are from Houston, what's up, fam? welcome to the other side of what we do. It is a pleasure to serve as your Houston-based literary outreach coordinator, representing the city. My thanks to every single writer and poet out of Houston who is continuously always shine a light on the work and the efforts of writing and the literary fabric of our fourth largest city. We are diverse, and I am grateful and honored to have had the opportunity to see and witness and now work with the four writers for this evening, each of whom represent the city in very beautiful and lavish ways. So the format for the reading this evening, for those of you that are following us, you will occasionally see my finger get to like the screen because I'm on my phone because the computer is acting quite special. A format for the evening, each writer will get 15 minutes to shine their light, produce that fire, after which, in between, I'll give bios, and then Ricardo and I will do the best we can to share info, social media tags, updated video links, and or reading samples for each of the writers for this evening. We hope you enjoy what you see. If you want to take screenshots and share those on Twitter or Instagram or the Facebooks or the Parler, no, don't share anything on Parler. We can, the hashtags are hashtag #LitFunding, hashtag United States of Writing, and then hashtag Hope Not Fear. The theme for this evening, before I continue, quote, each of these writers this evening will share the work that speaks to those things that give us hope in the face of fear, and those things that we fear and we fight with hope. Thematically, it's very broad, but I wanted to find a way to bring Houston writers together so that we can celebrate all the things that we do with language. That said, we can begin the evening. There are 4 readers for the night. And we begin in alphabetic order. First up, ladies and gentlemen, the writer Loyce Gayo, her bio. Lois Gallo is a Tanzanian-born creative artist and teaching artist based in Houston. Gayo's work is influenced by her experience in the African diaspora and celebrates the journey of a people dispersed. Gayo was the slam champion of the UT Spitshine Poetry Slam team, who won the 2014 Collegiate Unit Poetry Slam Invitational, CUPSI. Her work has been featured on Button Poetry, Right About Now, Badali Shafi Poetry, Fields Magazine, and PBS. She teaches creative writing with writers in the school, formally, here in Houston, and founded a creative writing and performance initiative for East African youth called Paza Sauti. Visit her website, loisg.github.io. Ladies and gentlemen, Lois Gayo.
Hi, y'all. How's it going? Just so that I know that human beings are out there, y'all, please don't hesitate to use the reactions on here in Zoom. I'm from a slam background, and so we get immediate feedback from our audience in the form of snaps, in the form of claps and stuff like that. And so if y'all could use these reactions just to let me know y'all over there feeling me, I would really appreciate that. So I appreciate you all so much for being here. I already see the thumbs up. I already see the heart signs. I appreciate y'all so much. So yeah, hope. That's a real interesting concept, all right, that you got us over here discussing, Lupe. I think for me, I have been very interested and have been reflecting on being hopeful as knowing the history of colonialism and, knowing my people are subjected to that. And so I've been playing around with the role language plays with that. And in that reflection, I wrote this piece called In Memory of Royal Murderers. And I think that you all probably just need to know about this piece is, I I in fact took the title from a poem that Patrice Lumumba wrote, and Patrice Lumumba is this incredible revolutionary from the Congo who was leading the independence movement. And he was also a poet, and he wrote this amazing piece called May Our People Triumph that was imagining this post-colonial moment in the whole African continent. And this line really stuck out to me, in memory of royal murderers. So yeah, that is context I'm gonna share, other than like the names that you might hear, and I hope you guys can Google these individuals. I have been dreaming about the death of famous colonizers lately. I have literally been laughing out loud at the thought of King Leopold II of Belgium choking on his own vomit the very first day he steps foot in the Congo. Or how Cecil Rhodes dies from taking a shit after eating a rotten mango. Or Winston Churchill falls down the stairs after being startled by the sound of his own very aggressive fart echoing through Buckingham Palace. Now, I would then stop and think, no, even accidental deaths, though they rattle my frame with mirth, are too merciful. Leopold should have choked on every limb he commanded be severed. Imagine million bald fists amputated, lodged themselves inside his throat. Hungry fingers chip and cut as they try to claw and gnaw their way out his trachea. Roads should have been trampled, crushed by the very land he tried to pillage. Imagine the Ndembele people summoning a magic to their feet when they first saw the British approaching. See how they dance a dance that would shake and split open the earth and sky. Their dirt swallows Cecil whole and at once, grinding him with diamond teeth. Now, Churchill should have died a very loud death. In an attempt to abscond, the night would refuse to cover him and his army. The Mau Mau would find him forsaken and sound every horn. They would parade his shame across the fields before unraveling his pallid skin among the trees. His blood alone would have quenched the land's thirst for any flesh or blood for the next millennium. I spend hours thinking about this. Hours, I mean, I imagine every detail, the smell of dry blood and freshly tilled soil, the chirping of crickets interrupted by the sound of gagging in a quiet room, the snapping of bone and fiber. I am obsessed and I am satisfied until I realize this language of violence that I revel in is not even my own. Even now, an ocean away from home, I still speak in an old savage cadence learned from strangers who came with guns, whips, and a merciless God. See, along with their borders, their baptismal names, their churches, I inherited this language too. So I guess in the context of hope, I'm very hopeful, especially with young people using their creative energy to imagine new worlds and language, that will also find, I guess, new language to imagine healing. And
oh yes, oh.
So that was where my mind was when I was writing that piece. That was in Royal Murderers. The next piece I have prepared here for you all is called "The Politics of God's Funeral." This season is so wild, y'all. The holidays bring about like a lot of conversation. The holidays really show us our obsession with things, essentially, and our accumulation of things and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm very much susceptible to it as well. But like, also, there's a lot of conversation about holy figures being used to justify being really, really terrible to the poor. And so I would do a little like hashtag called oh my God. oh, it was, like Jesus Christ was a refugee, and just like these random facts about Jesus Christ, just so I can remind people, it's like, yo, I don't know who y'all thought this man was, but don't be, you know, using this particular figure to like, I don't know. Anyway, my mind was kind of there when I was writing this piece. It was like, why are we using these powerful like religious figures to create terrible national mythologies to oppress people? Anyway, it's called The Politics of God's Funeral, the chorus. These are the parables taught at the tables of self-proclaimed prophets and messiahs. 1, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the American dream. 2, blessed are those who mourn, for their children will inherit the same cry. 3, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit nothing, and nothing so big they will pray to it. 4, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will feast on other souls. 5, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown judgment by a group of their peers. 6, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will never see our evils. 7, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will kill in the name of God. 8, blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for their blood will stain pretty, but will eventually dry up and begin to smell forgotten. Politics at God's funeral, the refrain. And maybe the Lord said, show me your nasty women and I will show you my image. And I will show you Black women mistaken for bark. Or maybe the Lord said, show me your water protectors and I will show you your saviors and your obsession with crucifixion and how a pierced side of something holy bleeds crude oil, welcoming the Sabbath, signaling the end. Or maybe the Lord said, show me your American dream and I will show you a myth. Show me your white Jesus and I will show you a myth. Look at your mountains of things built on shifting sand, following oppression into a narrow tomb. Or maybe the Lord said, show me your songs about joy and your poems and psalms about love. And I will show you why I haven't swallowed the earth yet. Lupe, how are we doing on time now? I know we started a little late, but I got this work for y'all. How we feeling?
I love you.
I love you too. I love you tremendously.
Yeah, you've got another 6 minutes.
I love it. I love it.
So you're golden.
You know, can I? Okay, this isn't. I haven't sang this song in a really long time, and I just want to sing the song if that's okay. I don't know if it's gonna sound right, but I'm gonna trust y'all. I'm gonna trust y'all.
Sing it.
And if it sounds bad, don't say nothing. Matter of fact, just go ahead, heart signs all the way throughout the entire thing. Oh man. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say them loud and say them clear for the whole wide world to hear. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'll soar to the sun and look down at the sea, and I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. Verbophobia is the fear of words. It's not in its assembly or the fear that 2-cent thoughts are worthless, are worth nothing these days in the offering basket ears of men who are full of their own praise. No, what I fear is that we possess the power to undo their kingdoms, is that I possess the power to undo their kingdoms and mountains of things So I'll let each whispered word be avalanche and watch the revolution shimmer in my voice, shimmer in your voice, shimmer in our voice. I really, really like that little short poem. It always like resets me and reminds me that even these tiny little moments, these tiny little words, these tiny exchanges with individuals have such big impact, have such, I don't know. Are y'all still with me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, I'm gonna leave y'all with one more. I I'm from Tanzania. I haven't gone home this year due to COVID. I haven't seen my family all this year. And I am very, very hopeful that I'll get to do that very soon, like many of us. One thing about home though is it's always very new whenever I go back. And so I see things through very fresh, very fresh eyes, and experiencing the city and experiencing home every time is just so great. And so I wanna give y'all a little dollop of how it feels to be back. This one is called Kahawa na Kashata, which means coffee, and Kashata, I think in English is peanut brittle. Is that a thing? That's a thing, right? That's the sugar and peanuts, right? Yes, so that's street food.
Yes.
Okay, good. I was about to say, what is the English word for this snack? So kahawa na kashata. If you're ever in the city of Dar es Salaam, get you a friend that can get you some really nice coffee and peanut brittle in the streets of Dar es Salaam. Fellowship at the spot with me. Each small cup a watering hole, song in the key of ginger and tang. Sink your nails into the crystals of sugar. Watch your foreign tongue crumble with the breaking of each kashata. Another and another and another. Let the body belong. We talk about nothing, and isn't that a hymnal? The city is still and blanketed in the sunset's gold, and isn't that a miracle? Thank you all so much. I'm so excited to hear the other readers, y'all.
You're the best.
Yeah.
We love you so much.
Oh, I love you guys. If you are just coming into the room, the VIP room for this reading, welcome to a very Houston reading for poets and writers. My name is Lupe Mendez, and you are now a part of Hope Not Fear. Thank you, Lois. That was amazing and beautiful, and I am always impressed with all of your work. Make me sick. I'm gonna stop writing. Next, so if you liked Lois, then we will continue on with the amazingness that is this evening. We continue this evening with Mauricio Patrón Rivera. Ciudad México, 1984. Trabaja con el texto y su relación con la comunidad. His work travels through decolonial feminism, necropolitics, human rights, and journalism to dwell between outsiders' corporalities. Los resultados de su trabajo son cuentos, ensayos, proyectos curatoriales, investigaciones académicas y procesos colaborativos. He is a candidate for the PhD in creative writing in Spanish at the University of Houston and holds a scholarship from Fundación Jumex Arte Contemporáneo y fue nominado por un premio Pushcart este año en 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mauricio Patrón Rivera.
Yay, thank you, Lupe. Yeah. Thank you, Lois, for your poetry. It was so powerful. I don't know if I can do the same, but I will try, I promise. Couple of things. Can you hear me? Yeah. Chin Chin? Yeah.
Yes,
You sound
we can hear
perfect.
you.
Perfect. Okay. I was saying like, yeah, Robin saying something. Sorry, Robin. Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, thank you, Lupe and Ricardo, everyone in Poets and Writers. It's always a pleasure to be with you and also to be part of this. You are always supporting small groups of reading, so you really believe in new writers and young communities with crazy stuff in their minds. Okay, so thank you as always. I want to read one essay first in English and at the end in Spanish. Quiero leer un pequeño ensayo, primero en inglés y luego en español. Y en medio de eso quiero leer un poema, el primer único poema que tengo publicado. Y ese está como en inglés y en español. So I want to read in the middle of the two essays in Spanish, English, a poem, okay? So hang with me. Oh, I want to say a couple of things that I find in connection to Lois. The idea of hope, I understand it as learn to be in the present, especially this year, is trying to remain where I am right now. It's about finding a home, even if I'm all the time in my home. It's a recurring question I got. Intentar encontrar mi hogar, a pesar de que estoy en esta pequeña caja, ¿no? The accumulation of things totally is something about weirdness and hope in the objects, yeah. And try to change the scale of the landscapes, because now we are just in a Zoom. Oh, sorry, I got yeah. So okay, I'm going to start with the essay, The Death of Objects. This year, the political fictions of previous centuries have finally collapsed into my home. The school, office, bar, the coffee shop have crowded with the washing machine, the stove, the bed, the sofa in my little apartment in Houston. I am the worker, the student, the sick, the child, the elder, especially the old man. I am also the cook, the dancing girl, and the boy with 100 voices, the one who checks the supermarket receipt in search for the error that will get me my money back. On the screen, I slide windows to play Sudoku, to learn Italian, manage dozens of messages from my work as a Spanish instructor, to write stuff like this, to check call for papers, and monitor the progress of the COVID-19 pandemic. I am in a prison that squeezes my work and my salary. On 9/11, I was forced to trade security for freedom. Now they exchange my health for the very little freedom that I had left. Looking for a refugee corner in the shoebox that I rent, I discovered endless territories that I had not explored. I trained my gaze to travel through long landscape of dust on the bookshelves, of crumbs on the kitchen counter. I have carved the filth of the stove as if I were creating it from a marble cube. In those landscapes, I have chased fugitive pixels, miniature moments away from the keyboard. When I grabbed the first pixel, one of those damn squares of color, it confessed me that the production hides the maintenance, that its own creation was not as important as its existence, that materials are not created, they are only maintained. Then the pixel coughed hard and died. The pixel turned into dust and I felt bad, repeating to myself the enigma of its last words. The production hides the maintenance. As an experiment, I thoroughly cleaned half of my home and left the other half to its fate, verifying that without care, even matter, which is not alive, suffer the death of objects. Garbage is made by the objects expelled from the world of maintenance, becoming ruins, revealing that our desire is the executioner of this landscape that we are turning into a garbage dump. Maybe not so full of hope, but I guess it is. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna read some poetry, and then, as I was saying, the Spanish version of The Death of the Objects, okay? Thank you. Domestic tongues, one paragraph with a presentation, okay? These words are about myself right now. On a moment, I am trying to be with others in a new country and a new tongue. I am discovering the relationship that I have with this territory. I cannot be the same person here in a different country with a different language than the one I was in Mexico. I believe people belong to the landscape. In this poem, I explored this landscape in 3 different orbits: the inner one, the domestic one, and the university one. Here, I ask myself about the one I used to be, my desires, and the possibility to be with others. Okay. Domestic was a CD I lost long time, long distance ago. I hum the songs while I clean, even if the lyrics do not trespass to this new place. In the Bayou City, with my hands on the dishes, the soap repeats my thoughts in a different voice. I am a moped wet line, linking to places, waiting to be dry. And the songs are coming. I long for them, but the city's dust come again, and I have to clean my way to the present. Tengo un escarabajo escarbando mi pecho. Lo tengo abrochado a mi clavícula por una cadena y se mueve entre mis pelos como un maquetch. Un maquetch de brillos en el lomo. En secreto le doy las instrucciones para abrir esta máquina deseante. El maquetch extrae piedras negras minúsculas. Me las da de comer. La lengua la tengo partida desde que sentí los afectos, dañada una parte, la otra viva a la mitad. Testigo de la podredumbre de las palabras con las que sé querer, el maquetch me da más piedras. I am 2 guys sitting in a bar, not knowing they like each other. There is something kind of cute about it, but all I can see is my own double shadow. Cuando crucé esa puerta, me dormí al servicio de otra casa que no era mía. La lengua se me hizo orden al secarse el río que traía en la espalda. Sorry about the carpet. I throw the tongue there. I need to start to write the broken words of my story on the carpet. Sorry. I tighten up my frontier. To keep it tight is the warranty of me being a man. I'm afraid to lose it and shed on the state. In the geographies, the border of myself is not a wall, but an abyss sealed by the frightened flesh. I do not want to lose my warranty, become an unrefundable guy with a broken void between the legs. Porque estamos peleados, y si ya no soy de este lado, ya poco me garantiza mi estado mafioso asignado, me quita la protección. ¿Y cómo hay un yo sin estado? Me reconozco como un damnificado de las relaciones sexogenéricas aceptadas por la máquina que llama nombre. Esas relaciones no aparecen en mi lista de deseos. And now let me read you the Spanish version of the first essay, okay? And I'm going to be done with that. Thank you for hanging there. La muerte de los objetos. Este año, las ficciones políticas de siglos previos por fin han colapsado en mi casa. La escuela, el trabajo, el bar, el café se han apretado con la lavadora, la estufa, la cama y el sofá en mi pequeño departamento en Houston. Soy el enfermo, el trabajador, el estudiante, el niño, el viejo, sobre todo el viejo. Soy también el cocinero, la bailarina y el muchacho de las 100 voces. El que revisa el recibo del súper en busca del error que me devolverá dinero. En la pantalla, intercambio ventanas indistintamente para jugar sudoku, aprender italiano, gestionar decenas de mensajes de mi trabajo como profesor de español, para escribir cosas como esta, aplicar a convocatorias y monitorear el avance de la pandemia. Estoy en una prisión que me exprime el trabajo y me hace gastar. El 11 de septiembre me orillaron a intercambiar la seguridad por la libertad. Ahora me intercambian la salud por la escasísima libertad que me quedaba. Buscando un refugio, acorralado en la caja de zapatos que rento, descubrí un sinfín de territorios que no había explorado. Entrené la mirada para recorrer larguísimos paisajes de polvo en los libreros, de migajas en la barra de la cocina. He tallado el cochambre de la estufa como si la estuviera esculpiendo en un cubo de mármol. En esos paisajes he perseguido píxeles fugitivos, momentos miniatura afuera del teclado. Cuando agarré al primero de esos condenados cuadrados de color, me confesó que la producción oculta al mantenimiento, que no era tan importante su propia creación como su existencia, que los materiales no se crean, solo se mantienen. Luego, el píxel tosió fuerte y murió. El píxel se hizo polvo y me sentí mal, repitiendo para mí el enigma de sus últimas palabras. La producción oculta al mantenimiento. Como un experimento, limpié a profundidad la mitad de mi hogar y abandoné la otra a su suerte, comprobando que sin cuidados, hasta la materia, que no está viva, sufre la muerte de los objetos. La basura está hecha de los objetos expulsados del mundo del mantenimiento, haciéndose ruinas, revelando que nuestro deseo es el verdugo de este paisaje que estamos convirtiendo en basurero. Listo. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. Yeah. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Yeah.
I'm gonna stop writing. That's my 2 cents. I thank you, everyone. This will be the last time you ever see me do anything ever literary, because that's good stuff. I hope everybody's enjoying the reading. I'm totally blown away. Now I'm gonna go get a PhD and call it a day. So we will continue. We have 2 more readers, and we will continue. If anybody's joined us, Ricardo, I don't know if anybody's joined in. I'm hoping so. If not,
a couple.
And either way, for those of you that get to see this when you're on Facebook, this is tons of fun. Post comments anyways. We love you. Okay, so let's continue and we move on, ladies and gentlemen. Our third reader for the evening. Oh, that was awesome. Whatever that was perfect. Our third reader for the evening, Mohammed Charisman, is an Indonesian-born multidisciplinary artist based in Houston, Texas. Punto is one of the founders of the University of Houston's first poetry community and slam team, Coug Slam. In its first year, Coug Slam received top honors and ranked 4th in the nation at the Collegiate Union Poetry Slam Invitational CUPSI. Mohammed is completing his Bachelor of Fine Arts, a BFA in acting, and has worked as actor, playwright, and director in various projects throughout Houston. In collaboration with the Houston Symphony, his favorite project is Resilient Sounds, 6 musical compositions paired with dialogue, vocals, dance, and film to tell the story of Houston's refugee community. Mohammed's poetry has been featured by Right About Now and Awfully Good Writers Heavy Hitters Festival, hosted by Buddy Wakefield. He hopes his art changes the status quo to create multidisciplinary within BIPOC narratives. A core organizer with Mutual Aid Houston, Mohammed builds communities and inclusivity in any space he inhabits. Ladies and gentlemen, a great pleasure to have with us this evening.
Whoa. I didn't know whose bio you was reading just now. I was like, wait a second.
All I do is dramatic pauses. That's it. That's all. That's you make all that happen. Like happiness.
I love you tremendously, Lupe. Thank you so much for hosting us, and thank you so much, Ricardo, for hosting us as well. Wow, Lois and Mauricio, y'all are beautiful, incredible human beings. It is such an honor to share this space with y'all. This first piece is the first time I ever drew a line for myself as an artist. I live in a very racially ambiguous body, and so oftentimes as an actor I'm placed in places and in roles and in stories that I have no right to tell. And this was a moment in time when I had to make a decision whether I wanted to be the person I wanted to be or the person that wasn't hungry. But it's called A Toast to Not Laying Any More Massacres on Stage, a Soliloquy. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If diversity could root out the pain in my chest and catch with its unearthing some gold, then let me play a Native American tribe chief. Even though I am brown boy of Indonesian descent, raised by Muslims that were taught to push evil and enjoy what's good, theater producers believe that as long as they hit their check marks, the erasure wouldn't leave blood stains on my contract. To be actor of color is to navigate a maze built by years of white supremacy. My friend tells me if you don't do the role, they'll just cast a white guy. You might as well get that bread, right? Right? Even though it feels wrong in my chest to wear someone's ancestors like hide from hunted buffalo whose only crime was having their tongues ripped from American history books, I say no to the role over the growl of my own stomach. I'd much rather starve than lay a stage for another massacre. To be an actor of color is to navigate the gray, to paint a bigger picture where the frame holds the art and not fence it off like refugees seeking safety. I did not sweat and cry and push, jump, hop, trip over barbed wire fences to play senseless characters that hold no heartbeat, no heartache, no bad breaks. To be actor of color is to honor stories viciously, to catch the bullets of colonialism in my teeth, tattered and exhausted, but it's always worth it. I will not be your token, brown-skinned promotional photo still shot. I will only be actor, artist, space and time, voice and diction, perfections, moments of disarray. I rebuke any creator that is satisfied with compromise. And I rebuked. I don't know what the physical symbol for rebuking something is, but I rebuke that energy in 2020. What brings me hope a lot of times is my poetry and the product, the poem, whatever comes out isn't necessarily something that always sounds hopeful, but it brought me a lot of hope to write. And within the midst of this isolation and unprecedented pause, this was the first piece of writing that I wrote after not touching any type of creative medium for however long. Time is not real anymore. It never was. It's just especially not real now. But March 22nd, 2020, 3:11 a.m. I saw yesterday like it was just tomorrow. The fragmented skyline of Houston showed fear festering. The virus was always us. breaking parts of each other like starving dogs, gnawing at a false sense of safety. And in 2020, as the world crumbled, we let hate lead us into our own death, and we didn't even have any bones left to bury. I dug through my room today and found my joy lying under my bed like forgotten Nike SBs. I dusted it off and cleaned the grime off its soul, brushed the bruises from its canvas, and I don't know what I'll paint on it, but a blank page is always a good place to start. I can't remember who tied these knots, but as I loosen the tangles of unanswered guilt, I find that joy still fit perfectly on my feet. My cipher's complete. I've been beaten down and broken, treated like I'm a token. I'm a person, and if you don't want me for me, then you can't have me at all. I have fallen more times than I can count, but I never remember the ground. Just how ominous the American flag looked looming on top of the AIG building. The streets were empty for weeks. The silence was deafening, drumming through my voice. I was screaming, but only she heard me. To actualize your dreams into reality is to walk into the dark room and try to find the light switch. It's not the moment the bulb burns bright, but the movement of reaching towards clarity. Darkness has never been your enemy. Stillness is. And after the war, you're gonna have to take a dump. Just flush. The faces on the walls are just yourself. And I guess there's nothing to fear at all, because at the end of the day, they'll still walk their dogs in the morning. From Don't Know to Peach, if you left your love, I'll be right. Don't forget the musicals. Take on me, because the medleys you want is already written. Oh well. So I hope you'll listen and breathe again. Hear the birds again, because if you choose to see the mornings again, hopefully you'll believe again, because all things are written, all things are spoken for, all things are here to stay. So why not drive along? You'll hear the birds a chirp, a chirp, a chirp, a boom in the mornings. You'll hear the music on the radio they'll play. You'll hear every single box and uncover to see the mystery of life is on its way. And something for the kids, if you have something for the kids to smile for, to die for, there's this. If you have something for the kids, it's that life is an endless bliss. Elephant Love Medley plays until the green returns to the trees. Just breathe a little, hold a little, love a little, of course. Sober by Childish Gambino tells me the credits are coming and it's time for breakfast. A lot of my work within this pandemic has been archival pieces. I stare at a blank page, and whatever it was that I was using to write with 4 years ago is no longer with me. It's transformed into something much more complicated. And a lot of my approach to writing now is to find a simplification and a place of peace for myself to just say my piece. I don't know if it ever comes out to be something that'll change the world, but it definitely changes my world piece by piece, letter by letter. And this is an open letter that I wrote to whoever wanted to read the letter. I've always been built to last. I learned resilience at the feet of Palestinian protesters outside the Galleria on the hottest days of Houston. Iman and Eunice, my brothers, wield megaphones at the front lines. At 12 years old, I was taught silence is not an option. Droves of cars passed us on Post Oak Boulevard in front of the Starbucks. Bodies vibrated the streets, chanting for freedom through hoarse throats and choked lungs. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Dumb never came without a price tag. And in 2020, oppression has been given command of the Oval Office. How fitting for America to be led into flames by a man who fires people. I remember I became a poet to heal myself, who taught me to hold this pen like a sword. Ain't this pen meant to write stories, sanctuaries built for myself? When did my words become so bruised and battered? How do I unclench this sword? It's been getting harder and harder to get up from bed. Nowadays, I'd much rather stay eyes closed than look at another Instagram notification. I deleted Twitter to disconnect from knowing too much too fast. Nowadays, I feel like I should not have known Kobe passed away before his own wife found out. Something sacred felt breached, and I'm trying to be more mindful of the land I create in, so I disconnected for my own sanity. In a land of oppressive systems, I was made to feel crazy for demanding a seat in a rehearsal room for a show I ultimately did not want to be in. I've learned that it's dangerous to hand yourself over to people that won't lay down their lives for you, won't protest for you, won't raise the stakes for you, won't drive through blocked roads and splotchy text messages just to make sure you didn't get kidnapped by people meant to protect and serve. And I swerved my trajectory and reclaim my own life amidst the wolf-faced mentors I chose to guide myself out the box, haphazardly made to appease and avoid accountability and build a space with me and people like me in mind. I don't even know what the times are. Lupe, I'm so sorry I set a whole timer so I wouldn't do this, but I think this is
You have 3 more minutes if you got another one.
perfect. I had like one more. I gotta do for myself. You know what I'm saying? Oh
I'm
man.
still packing, by the way.
Oh,
Packing.
big love. This piece is 3 short pieces. And I don't know why, but they felt like siblings to each other. I don't know if y'all's writings ever feel like that. Like, this feels like this poem's older brother. This feels like this poem's sibling. I don't know. But 3 short pieces for y'all. Let us create in a world where art is cherished, nuanced, and necessary. Let it be a sunny day or a rainy day or any day where we wake up smiling. Let it be a place where fear is only welcomed with love and understanding. Let us create in a world that doesn't aim to gain capital off of our life. Let the literary ancestors that live inside our bodies be summoned into the rehearsal rooms with encouragement and celebration. Let this space be a realm where we can breathe easy and the music that plays recharges and recognize how hard life is in a world where art is diminished until it's needed to distract, entertain, and elevate our very way of lives. Let us create in a world where we no longer are tired, because when we close our eyes, it's rest on our minds in a space safe from worry. Let us create with laughter and wide-eyed innocence. Let curiosity be welcomed, open doors and arms wrapped, remembered fondly. Consider the hands writing this poem. Palms open, facing letters. Consider fingers jumping from key to key, each typing. Consider how the sound of a keyboard feels like hi-hats hitting to keep the heart beating. Consider beatings of yourself by yourself. Solitude has taught me that I will stay in bed if nothing pulls me off its sheet. Considers waking up from bed, hair disheveled. I reach for my vape and inhale and exhale smoke. Fill my room. The sunlight shines on the vapor, thickening the whites of the clouds. Consider how clouds almost look like souls leaving out my body. Sun's rays beating down on me. Consider coughing in my bed, reaching for my bottle to water my plants. I stopped writing. I think I realized how much it costs to speak words into worlds that will not hold it. With love and kindness and faith, I look around and all I see is vices used to distract me from myself. It's been a long time since the page was a sanctuary. So allow me to remember myself. Piece by piece by piece by piece, let me be space and time and lines that rhyme. Reach my limbs out, palms, eyes open. Allow me to remember myself. like family reunions over dinner tables with the weight of the day lifting from the aroma of the plate. Allow me to remember myself, a beacon of light standing bright if for no one else, so I don't get lost. Allow me to find myself in myself. Allow me to remember myself before my spine collapsed and arms folded around myself, can closed off to a world that took too much of myself from myself. I look back at all the communities I built and I find myself crying, laughing over borrowed sound systems and blind appreciation for the present. I had no worries what would come next because I was just happy to be in the room. Thank y'all so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mohammed. I am now entirely exhausted. I love your work. That's beautiful stuff. Man. Oh, okay. So we are, if this was a public space, if we were at an open mic, if this was a reading like out in public and there was a microphone and some speakers, I'm fighting the instinct to want to say, everyone, we've reached our last writer for the evening. Everybody say, oh, but that's not going to work because we're just type AWWWWW in the thing, and that's pretty much the same stuff. We will end this particular evening of readings with our last reader for the evening. Robin Davidson is the author of 2 poem chapbooks and the collection Luminous Other, awarded by the Ashland Poetry Prize's 2012 Richard Snyder Memorial Publication Prize. Dr. Davidson is the recipient of a Fulbright Scholarship at the, I'm going to so butcher this, Dr. Davidson, you're going to have to help me.
The Jagiellonian
University in Krakow, Poland, and an NEA Translation Fellowship. She is a co-translator with, is it Ewa? Is that right? No?
It's the W makes the V sound, so it's Eva. Eva.
Oh, Eva. Yeah. Eva.
It's a Catholic country. Everybody's named Adam and Eve.
I love it. Eva is Beta Nowakowska, of 2 volumes of Eva Lipska's poems from the Polish. Most recently, Dear Miss Schubert, which I saw the cover of and I love it. Forthcoming from Princeton University Press in January 2021. Davidson served as the 2015 through 2017 Houston Poet Laureate under the leadership of mayors Anise Parker and Sylvester Turner, serving as the city's 2nd Poet Laureate, and was inducted into the Texas Institute of Letters in 2019. She teaches literature and creative writing as a professor emeritus of English at the University of Houston downtown. You can purchase Dear Ms. Schubert here. Oh wait, that's the link. Ricardo will put the link in the chat while I just continue reading the link. Ladies and gentlemen, our final reader for the evening, Dr. Robin Davidson.
Thank you, Lupe. I love you. I know you know that, but I really love you. And I'm so grateful to have been invited to read with these other 3 poets. And I'm really excited about that. I do want to say one thing, and that before I start reading, and that is that this is it's been a horrible year. We know it's been a horrible year, but this is a great day for hope. There's 2 really wonderful things, right? The electors of the Electoral College have cast their ballots today, and I just read in the New York Times a little while ago that it upholds our president-elect as Joe Biden. And the new Pfizer vaccine has just been distributed, or is beginning to be distributed, and a nurse in New York has been the first recipient of that vaccine. So it seems like we can think of hope, at least in those tangible ways. But the other thing I wanted to say before I start reading about hope is that the Writers Against Trump is an organization that I joined this late last summer. And they had a post-election National Assembly, I think it was Thursday, November 9th. And during that assembly, I heard a writer, Rebecca Solnit, if you don't know her work, it's amazing, say this, and I haven't forgotten it. Unlike optimism, hope is a discipline, the responsibility of action on behalf of the future. And I just think about that every single day. I try to repeat it to myself. And so the poems I've chosen to read, I don't know how hopeful they are, but they address crises that I think our democracy is facing right now. And, you know, threats posed by fascism, racial injustice, extreme climate, the pandemic, although I may not have time to read the pandemic poem, but anyway, these poems address those issues with an active hope in the transformative power of language. And in young people, like everyone else here but me, all of the other readers and speakers, and people of color. And so I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm very grateful for the work of those who have already spoken. So I'll read a few poems, and if I read too long, just tell me to shut up. Okay. City of mud and ash. You've committed to memory the city of mud and ash, its iron gate, barbed wire and barracks, the rotten wood of bunks, the ghosts of lice and the hair they ravaged. You've trudged through grassless, furrowed soil, wet with rain, frost, to the forest of ash ponds and obelisks, the sweat of travelers, and back again to a museum of lost faces. You are alive in the shadow of what burned, burns, a history of anonymous ash, this mud's burial of men, women, children, and their God. Let no one believe that the work of war will make you free. Let no one believe in this. Epitaph for a Tyrant, an erasure after Alice Notley. And I love her. She's an amazing and wild poet. I wanted to write an epic in which the hero was a woman who changes everything, finding out what death is, an inquisition through experience. What she wanted was knowledge. In the descent, the tyrant is us. The tyrant is what enslaves us to our forms, the form of our life, our politics, our universities, our knowledge, our thinking we know about the liberation of everyone. I'm still looking for the beginning of the universe. Power is terrible. Devote your life to in-between things. The Speak Angel series. Open the book. I am sure that the dead are alive. I stood at this chasm. The wall between the living and the dead collapsed. Words are what we have. Some other kind of language we used to speak, or that we'll speak when we're dead. The dead, they translate. A Spell for Becoming Lace, Hurricane Harvey, Houston, 2017. It begins as a ringing, just out of reach, neither text nor tweet, but a chime in the wind, then a throbbing, the water's pulse. Imagine your body is a house, sitting firmly on pier and beam, settled into clay. You are stucco and stone, brick and mortar, wrapped in azaleas, amaryllis, hawthorn and fern, oaks and the lone maple rising into night sky. Be more specific. It is 7:36 p.m. Saturday, August 26th. The rains begin. All night you listen to living water pelting the shingles. You shiver. Sunday, August 27th, it rains, pours down on the roof, the windows, doors. You stand in a sea of wet grass, wait for water to creep closer, rise. Monday, August 28th, it rains. The street is a fast-moving river that flows to stone steps, then wrought iron railing, porch, seeps into floors, walls, rises and rises. The water enters you, is trapped in your shiplap walls. You have a choice. You can dissolve, become the warp and mildew of wood, swollen sheet rock, or you can resist. Imagine the ivory bobbin of lace. Let the water move through you like mesh. Let the coordinate be your scaffolding, each linen stitch wrapped and buttonholed, locked, secured in place, a porous stronghold, delicate as home and as rooted to bone as the hands that built you. Each thread, a tethered line of love that bends and stays, bends and stays. Migrations. Lantana and salvia, delphinium, thistle and heather move in the still heat of August. A garden grows outside our window, waits for the transient monarchs, the ruby-throated hummingbird. In Billy Hassel's monarch butterflies over the Rio Grande, hundreds of wings the color of sunset move across the sky, a kaleidoscope of light that pours over sheer-walled canyons, volcanic rock. The cavernous stretch of river becomes a permeable border which is no border, the flight that beauty makes, turning gray rock, gray water to orange light. Hummingbirds travel thousands of miles, escaping the violence, the poverty of weather. Men, women, and their children travel months seeking asylum. They wait in lines or cages in El Paso, Clint, McAllen. They lose their luggage, their language, the children they carry. No milk, no blankets, no soap, no songs. We hold our children close and watch flight out the window at a distance in a garden. Wingless, they who flee must swim the river. Wingless, they who flee must cross the sands. O God of many names, see. Whew, sorry. This is the most upsetting thing to me, these camps. O God of many names, see their flight, lift and hold them in the cleft of the rock. Sorry, I started not to read that poem tonight, but I've never read it out loud to anybody. And so anyway, I wanted to do that. Man, whew. You know, I'm a grandmother. It's, you know. The last poem before just a couple of short lines is this. City of Music Imagined. I hope it's hopeful. On the steps of the cathedral in your mind, a music emerges. The Tartini tones of a pipe organ speaking with the trees. You recognize the tune, a hymn of sorts, for cigar box guitar or the steel of resonator strings turned lap piano, wailing like a bell, released, rising, expanding in flight. This is no ordinary music. It is not invisible, but takes on form as it moves within the mouth of the bell, lures you into its palpable chords, not quite a chiming. For a moment, you've returned to childhood, the swinging ropes of a bell tower beneath the steeple of stone you see as compass to the heavenly. You give up fear, failure, take the ropes in your child's hands. You swing hard until the clapper strikes metal once, twice, full circle. You rise higher, swing again with each tolling until you become the music's body multiplied, an echo untethered beyond streets and rooftops, elms and lindens, beyond geese in flight and the remnants of human voice. Okay, so I just want to, let me just say again, thank you so much, Lupe, Lois, Mao, and Muhammad. What moving work. And Lupe, I'm so grateful to you for having me. I just love you dearly, dearly, dearly. You know that I love Jasmine and I love Baby Loose. I want to close with a handful of long notes, really. I wouldn't say this is a poem, but they're notes toward a poem. And these lines in the poem that we do, Mohammed. We love Luz. What a little beauty she is. Oh my God. And so she's a very much part of this poem too. I'll just tell you. Notes toward a poem, first for the beloved 20th century Polish writer Bruno Schultz, whose collection of short stories, Cinnamon Shops, was interestingly published in English under a very different title. So this tells you something about an American readership, The Street of Crocodiles. So Cinnamon Shops was published as The Street of Crocodiles. He was also an incredible visual artist. He lost his life because he painted a mural commissioned by Nazi Gestapo officer Felix Landau of fairy tales, amazing fairy tales, some fragments of which have been found, for Landau's little daughter's bedroom. And these unfinished lines, like the work of hope, are also for my grandsons and their generation on behalf of the future, and they're for Luce too. A prayer for Brody and Reese, and for Bruno Schultz, shot and killed by Gestapo officer Karl Gunther in 1942 while walking home through the Aryan Quarter with a loaf of bread. May the world not die of bread, or a lost Messiah, or the oil-smeared desert, or a fire-washed sky, but ripen into childhood, the heart's crocodiles turned cinnamon shops, and love, and love. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was, oh my Lord. I'm glad I'm sitting down. That's the one good thing about readings in this space. Like, you could be in a public space and you'd be standing in the back, or being in our own homes in the safety and comfort of such amazing moments that I need to sit down. I need a drink. Beautiful work. To Lois, to Mauricio, to Mohammed, to Robin, mil gracias. Thank you so much for being willing to participate in this first ever Houston branched Poets and Writers reading. For everyone else that was with us and got to see this in the VIP room, we thank you. So I get to give a couple of announcements, and then we can break into a couple of questions for each of the writers. I think all four of you are still here. If you've left, I'm sorry. Or if you do need to go, please don't let me hold you up, because I know things, and it's a Monday evening, and it's cold outside, so don't go anywhere. So the one announcement I have, please stay tuned to the work that we're doing here in Houston. We have a informational meeting set for Wednesday, January 13th in the new year. This will be to inform the public on all of the grant processes and abilities to fund writers and readers within the city of Houston. I think so far in the time that I've been the literary outreach coordinator, we've been able to help fund I think a double-digit number of organizations and or people. So the work continues. I'm also somewhat a little competitive with my sister cities in Detroit and New Orleans. Previously, we always go through all of our funding, and we still have some change left. So if you know anybody that needs to be applying for grants to do some works, we got money. So show up to the meeting so we can talk about it. And
Lupe,
that's
I'm
all
just
I'll
gonna.
say on that part before Ricardo shuts me up.
No. It should be an open secret, and actually, it's such an open secret that I just dropped an RSVP link in the chat. So again, it's a little summary. Basically, if you're a writer or a literary organizer in the city of Houston, we're going to be doing that info meeting January 13th at 6:30 your time Central. And it's just going to be a brief overview of the guidelines. And then we're going to try to do something different, which is actually do a run through of the application form itself. So sometimes, folks hear mini grant, they get a little intimidated, but what we want to try to do is just show everyone what the parts of the grant look like, and also explain how you can apply. And then the second part of it will be a community check-in. So we'll actually have more time to converse than I think if we were able to during a reading. But just that, sorry, Lupe.
No worries. And everybody, please thank Ricardo, because he's our right-hand man when it comes to all the bigger pieces.
Thank you, Ricardo!
And so, okay, that said, before we dip out, I'm going to save the next few minutes, next 5 to 10 minutes, to check in with each of the writers. So if anybody that's in the space with us currently wants to post a question, Ricardo, would you be able to read the questions if people post any questions?
Sure.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
also think we're actually small enough if folks want to just unmute themselves with any comments. It's only a couple of participants.
Okay, yeah. If anybody wants to unmute and say something to our writers, you're more than happy to. Please join the conversation. Going once.
Well, Connie
twice.
Brown just wants to say to Robin, love you, Robin, and hello, Lisa.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and I just read Ayo's post. He said, I got to go, but I love you all. Okay, we love you too, Ayo. Have a good night.
Bye.
So,
Love you.
one question I have for all of y'all. So what's next? What do y'all, I always hate that question myself, because it's like, didn't I just finish reading? Why you got to ask me what's next? But so what are you working on currently, or what are you finishing up, or what's next on the horizon? And we can go in reverse order. So Robin, you would go first.
Okay. Well, I'm old, and so I got to get busy. So I'm working on a lot of stuff.
That's awesome.
That's all I got to say. I'm really glad, about this book. It's sitting with me now because I'm thinking about it. So I'm real happy to have finally, Eva Lipska's been super patient with me. It's taken me years to translate these poems, and thank God they were short. But they're intense. And so I'm grateful that project has reached completion. But I'm also working on a long manuscript, a book-length manuscript called The City Within. And I hope that that's something that gets finished this coming year. And then a little chapbook called Ms. Schmetterling. Ms. Schmetterling is a persona that really is a woman in, I would say, in dialogue with Ms. Schubert of Lipska's poems. And I didn't read the pandemic poem because it was too long. But that was, I thought about reading a Ms. Schubert poem. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on, a chapbook, a full book, and trying to hopefully get people to read this Ms. Schubert book too. For
Awesome.
Lisa, she's wonderful.
Awesome. Mohammed, what do you got going next? You finished the semester, right? You just finished the semester?
Yeah, I finished Wednesday, so we haven't finished yet. Anything could happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Out of nowhere, a plot twist may go down, but fingers crossed. If we get to Wednesday, the semester is over, and then I'll fingers crossed be entering my last semester of college, and fingers crossed be graduating.
Get that paper.
Get it. I need it. Or, big things coming up next. Honestly, primarily a group of friends and I, we created a artistic collaboration space called Faces. It's on Instagram and social medias. We're developing the website currently, but it's a collection of just art pieces, so short films, movement pieces, dance pieces, poems, all types of stuff. It's our creation corral, as we call it. And so it's all these incredible human beings, myself, a close friend of mine, Tyron, who is also a performer, actor, and incredible human being, and then Keedron Wade, who is an incredible graphic designer, filmmaker. And we are taking all of our individual skills, putting it together, and saying, let's do it. But it's dope. And information on it is Faces Network on YouTube. We have our talk show on Spotify. But yeah, honestly, it's a lot of archival stuff right now. I'm not going to lie. Next thing is just to get to the next thing. You know what I mean?
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Mauricio.
Yeah, so I don't know. I still have 1 year to go for the PhD. So yeah, I know.
Ya mero. So I'm writing a short novel, kind of novel, got some poetry on it, and it's also like a video game, but yeah, I don't know. It's something like a poem about domestic work, about a domestic worker in Juarez, El Paso, at the beginning of the 20th century. So right now I'm on it. And the other thing is like the first poem I read came in this book, Critical Storytelling, Multilingual Immigrants in the United States. That's awesome.
It just get public like this week, I guess. So yeah, this is the new stuff. And yeah,
Perfect.
pretty much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's see.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Lois.
Can he hold that book up again, Lupe?
Oh, Mauricio, hold up. Detén el libro de nuevo. ¿Qué es el título? Critical Storytelling, Multilingual Immigrants in the United States. Somebody screenshot that.
I can share the link on the chat.
Oh, sí, perfecto. Haz eso. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Lois, I read you said nap.
Listen, and it's going to be hitting too. Watch.
That's perfect.
Now, I've been interested in understanding, not really understanding, but in the practice of art at the intersection of organizing. How does art support the amazing grassroots work that is happening in the city? And so, yeah, I've been in conversation with different artists, and I'm in conversation with different organizers. We in the very, very early stages of planning out perhaps a workshop series that encourages facilitators and educators to talk about gentrification with young people when they're doing creative writing, to talk about Black people in the future and how we can continue imagining marginalized people in the future, et cetera, et cetera. So like, yeah, I have been working very closely with the organizers. And that's, I think, is going to be largely what my next year is going to look like. Oh, I also got this really like awesome grant from the city to do a film project. And this year was kind of like a bust. So I think next year is really when I'm going to be doing a lot of that work. And so it's going to be highlighting the African diasporic community here in Houston. I don't think there is nearly enough narratives about the people of African descent here in the city, and so I'm excited to help highlight those stories and narratives.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Yay. So for those of you that are tuning in that are not from the city of Houston, that just gives you a little bit of a dust up on all the different facets of what's happening here in the city. Pandemic or no pandemic, we have lots of literary creatives that are finding ways to showcase all of these things, whether it be virtually, whether it be physically, whether it's through the planning, because that's the heavy lift as well as the planning and the logistics to get these things done. Publishing and performing are a big major facet of the game. The going through and figuring out how we wanted this reading to work, and in conversation with Ricardo, and this is where you guys get to hear the other side of what this stuff looks like. I have a really a decent understanding of how to curate readings, especially in Houston. And so in coming to figure out what we wanted to look like and how to showcase this for a national audience, which this is, I went ahead and did some deep-rooted thinking about who, for this instant, who would be really great voices to showcase everything that's happening. And so I'm really thankful that Dr. Davidson and Mauricio and Lois and Mohammed were able to put up with me and say yes to the random messages that I sent them to do this reading. Each of them add a layer to the tapestry of what this city is about and what's happening. And not everybody's from here. I think, nope, not a one of us was born in the city of Houston. And so I find that amazing, because this place has become a sort of home. And in that, it's home in different ways, right? And so that's right. Mohammed Hossein, oh, love it. And so that speaks to the nature of what this city provides. It is complicated. It is not zoned. We don't have any zoning laws. So all of those things that everyone alluded to in their work, that is how Houston operates. And so it lets you see that there is a level of hope and of work and of continual spirit of what the fourth largest city can provide. I'm almost at the point of saying just the third largest city, because I'm tired of Chicago. I'm tired of Chicago, and I'm gonna say that out loud. I'm gonna just start saying third largest city, and see, no, ain't nobody gonna fight me.
I mean, we still got a sore spot from the loss from the loss yesterday. Is that where this is?
I wasn't even thinking. That wasn't even it. No. That's awesome. But so if anybody else wants to add anything as we close out the evening, if you want to follow any one of these individuals on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook, you can check them out. On Twitter, I was quote tweeting every single one of them. If you don't know, I have like a myriad number of Twitter accounts, but the one that's focused on the work with poets and writers is HoustonPW.org. And so I quote tweeted all of the writers for this evening. Beautiful lines from each of your work, just ridiculous. So Ricardo, if you had anything else before we close out for the evening?
No, just wanted to also echo and express thanks to Dr. Robin, to Mauricio, to Mohammed, and to Lois for joining us. And also thank you for your patience. I was still trying to figure out the Facebook thing, why we couldn't broadcast, but this will be put up on YouTube. We will also be sharing it so that anyone who wasn't able to join us can still catch your generous readings. And I believe that's it, Lupe. Just the RSVP for the January 13 informational meeting. We'll be doing more promotion, so you'll probably see more of that stuff in the coming weeks. But yeah, stay tuned.
And for everybody else, y'all have a great night. And sorry you don't have to go home, but you have to get out of here.
We'll put you in the
And,
breakout rooms.
We'll put you in the breakout room. So for the writers, please stay tuned, like stay here so that we can get some final details from y'all. And everybody else, have a great night.
Have a good night.